No intro today, huh? How about that? Just kind of just jumped into it by accident. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, that wasn't the plan. The plan was to sort of do this. I'll show you what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to do this and have this down and have me kind of go right into the hole. There we go. And maybe move me over a little bit. There we go. That was the original plan, to kind of do it groovy like that. And oh well. Hey, when you're the director and producer and talent, that happens sometimes. Welcome to Expresso. It's Wednesday. We're a little late. We're not a little late. We're really late today. I'm gonna chalk it up to a couple things. Hey, the game notes are done, so that's a good thing. Woo! That's a good thing. Stat pack's almost done, which usually those aren't done for the. I mean, we don't get them usually delivered till about 3 or 4. I'm well ahead for the second day in a row. I'm shocking myself. Who needs Austin? I do. But anyway, I did those, and then you ever run into this problem as well? I don't know if you guys have run into this, but where you realize, oh no, I spent some money at the grocery store, and if I don't get this stuff cooked and done, I'm going to waste that trip, right? I mean, and I ran into that because we were gone to Sioux Falls over the weekend. I had enough stored for the weekend, but I had a little bit left over, and lo and behold, I thought. So this morning, while I'm doing game notes, we were also cooking chicken breast for salads. Anyway, buffalo chicken breast, which was a little fun. But anyway, glad you guys are along. Let me pull up the comments here on this side. Won't be around long. I always say that, but we won't be around real long today, as we don't have a lot. I mean, a lot to really discuss. Yesterday was, you know, it. I hate using the term. It is what it is, but it was what it was. You played a first place team who's playing really good. You played really bad. Everything that you can't do, you did, and you did have some bright spots. You had 3 home runs. By the way, you out hit Milwaukee home run wise, not the plate. They've lapped the field on you, but you out hit them in the series. You dug yourself a huge hole after getting off to a good start. A lot of season high in doubles. Hatar Tokar he scuffled, man. He season high in hits for the team by a starter, runs by a starter. I mean, he really wore that by last night. And that's you hate to see that for anybody, but last night, young man just didn't have it. In a matchup with Gregory Vasquez, where he had to be almost at his best, which would have been maybe 3 starts ago. Kansas City was really, really good, and maybe he had to be that good again. He just scuffled. He gets himself in a big hole. I love the fact the team battled back, got 7 runs last night. I did run out with 13 hits, 3 home runs. The X's also had a triple, a handful of doubles. I believe wound up with 9 extra base hits last night, which I believe is a season high of all the games, despite a loss. You scored 7 and lost. That's probably going to happen 6% of the time. I can go back and figure it out, but it doesn't happen very often. I mean, you score 7 runs with this pitching staff, you're going to win 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I mean, you're going to. It's fact. It's the way the game's designed. Now, if you're other teams and you score 7 or 8 runs, it might drop down to 50-50. You know? So, anyway, let me put the graphics up here.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Ma'am. Oh, sorry.
There we go. Let's see. There we go. We are live from Hawks, by the way. Oops, other one. So last night, I mean, just chalk it up to. Hold on just a second. Was that your Texas Tech truck?
That's it. Yeah.
Your Red Raider?
The Red Raider, baby. Oh, look at that. Small world.
Yeah. How about that, huh? Reckham Tech, man. Season ticket holder. Ah, there we go. See, meet Texas Tech folks in here, too. How about that? How about that? It's some guy's got a double. I saw this truck when I pulled. All right, let me pull the curtain back. I pulled in this morning, just a few minutes ago. There's a guy's truck out there, and it's got a double T Texas Tech on there. You don't see those very often in these parts. Some Nebraska plates. And sure enough, he was a Texas Tech guy. Both these guys were. How about that? Both for Nebraska, but I thought I was only Red Raider here in town, so apparently I am still. So there's that. Sorry about that live on the air. Little. You don't get this anywhere. What other broadcaster gives you this? Seriously. This is quality entertainment, all right? You may not get the bells and whistles that some teams have. You get quality human entertainment, human interaction. Human interaction. Okay, where were we? Okay, back to the game. Again, the three recipes we talked about: good starting pitching, timely offense, grabbing a lead in the bullpen locks you down. What'd you do last night? You got early offense, but that didn't happen. That was erased one inning later with a 4 spot for them, and they just went boom. You go from there to pitching was not real good overall in the starting spot. Your bullpen was okay later. I mean, it wasn't an awful outing for DeCosta to get 2 earned runs in the 4 innings. But the things you've got to do to win, you didn't do. So it's just simple as that, right? Not make it too complicated. And if those nights you're scoring 7 runs and losing, which happened back in June, you're in trouble. But I think that was just an outlier. It doesn't happen a lot. If you're scoring 7 runs, you're probably winning. You score 7 runs tonight, I think you win. With Salmon Bates going tonight, I would think if you're scoring 7 runs, give me 7 runs Sunday, you win. Give me 7. Well, I wish you scored more than that on Saturday. Give me 7 runs on Friday, you'll win. Like, you win all 3 of those ball games. You get 7 runs last Thursday, you're gonna roll. So anyway, Milwaukee's really good. They, I don't know what their story was of Sioux Falls. I don't know what their story was against Kansas City, but every time I've seen them this year with my own eyes, it's a good club. Anthony Barone's got. They've got a really good starting rotation. I would say right there up with what you've got. They can roll out, 2, 3, 4 starters like you can. King County's the only other team that can really do that in the league, and they're both the East. And they're going to play each other at some point. You figure if those 2 pitching staffs go to the postseason, I think they will. Milwaukee, obviously, with the division lead, should. But it's a good ball club. Roy Morales, who was hurt last time we faced them, I believe had 5 RBIs last night. They didn't do the things that really put pressure on you. The reason they won that first series in those closer ball games, the stolen base department, they went 11-13. They didn't have any last night. Didn't need to. You're ringing doubles off the wall and doing what they were doing. Didn't matter. So the X's got up to 1-0. And you manufacture run against a guy like Vasquez, and you hope that maybe that ignites something from Tokar. He went 1-2-3 the first inning, but then it just kind of came unravel from there, settled down in the 3rd inning. And really, Vasquez was very solvable last night. If you could have kept the damage down in the 2nd, it's probably a different ballgame. Because he had traffic aboard, and he'd only had 1-2-3 inning. I think that was the 5th. So anyway, but that one's done. The negative from all the ramifications of last night was you fall into a tie with Sioux Falls. Now, I went and figured the numbers today, and I was actually pretty close. Sioux Falls is 27-26 in division ball games. You're 30-26. Now, granted, they can pick up games against you this next 2 nights by playing Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg has got you're in the spot of trying to pull for Winnipeg. Because if they win, if Sioux Falls wins 2, it puts them at 29-26, so they're a game behind you in the head-to-head. Of course, they've got to finish with Cleveland, you finish with Chicago, so it'll really come down. The head-to-head secondary tiebreaker will be this weekend when you've got your Fargo series, and they've got where they got here. I can tell you, I had it pulled up a minute ago. They have got, pull up this in a second. Sioux Falls has got Lincoln. Yeah. So going to be interesting stuff. I think I'll win the last weekend. And I have a funny feeling that last weekend's going to matter a lot. It should. I mean, it's just one of those deals where just the way the math works out. And looking back to last year's numbers, X's went 8-11. I'm sorry, 8-4. They're 8-4, 8-4 the last 12. Still didn't make the postseason. So you got to take care of your business against tonight, tomorrow. Tonight, tomorrow, big in the sense that they're out of division games, but you need wins. You need momentum going into the weekend. And then for next week, you need to hit Kansas City with a series win under your belt. You don't want to go in there losing 2 series in a row or 3 and having to win a series there to get you right. So it's all in your hands. Now, it was in your hands until now when Sioux Falls, that's the one negative last night, with Sioux Falls tying you. You sort of lost that out of your hands thing. You still got destiny in your own hands, but they also now even with you, and you've got to rely on them to lose and rely on them, to stumble and all that. Well, you've also got to take care of your business. And you didn't do it over the weekend. That was a hard loss on Sunday. You heard Mongo's voice yesterday. He was very disappointed Sunday. I know he was disappointed last night too. This team's really close to being really, really, really good. I mean, like top of the league good. They're also could be really, really out of the playoffs. That's how the margin of error is really thin right now. You see that. I think last night was exactly the case. I mean, a lot of things that those and that over the weekend. Hey, Rick, good to see you, mate. Hope you're staying cool. But no, there's any cause for alarm. I think losing to Milwaukee is not a sin. I think the way you came back is helpful. But again, you score 7 runs against Milwaukee, you ought to be okay. You ought to win more times than not. So tonight, Solomon goes tonight. Bates going. And a big start, not for him, but for everybody. I mean, Kyle Moore going 7-3 to 4.15. He probably would slot into the number 2 guy, I would think. Well, Ryan Zimmerman's a good too. Again, it's sort of like saying, obviously Vasquez is a clear number 1 for them. And then I think the next 2 nights you're going to see Mora and Zimmerman. They've both been really good. And it's sort of like saying, okay, well, how do you separate what Drury's done from what Verberg's done, from what Toplikar's done? They're all interchangeable. I would say probably you got Bates, Verberg. Verberg, remember, he's been hurt, and so's Toplikar. So, but when you're healthy, you got 4 you run out there, and Weatherby, way he pitched the 4 innings of the night, you run 5 out there. So Milwaukee doesn't have that advantage, but you do. Love the X's never leave. Should I address that elephant in the room? Should I? I'm sure somebody's going to ask. I don't think anybody's planning on going anywhere. If you saw the statement from the team, all I will tell you is I don't know anything more than what you guys know. It's the one thing about this stuff that is out there now is just making people aware of the situation, what's going on. I think it draws people to support the ball club. I mean, you're in a town that's got a professional baseball team that gives back to the community, and I think people go, oh, you know what, I might want to kind of support that. I think that's a plus. Yeah, I need to take care of business with the long roadie. I would agree. But I think the ball club's statement yesterday was fine. It basically you got a situation where it's public knowledge, and it was already public knowledge. It was not secret, and it just put it out there that everybody knows. So, but I don't know anything about it. I'm not involved in the politics of it. I will tell you, as a person who works there and who's put a lot of time and effort, who was up to 3 a.m. last night trying to get ready ahead for the day. So we have quality game notes, and we have good presentation for the media. That there's a lot of folks out there that are putting a lot of work into helping the city and helping this ball club. There's a GM there that's working his tail off, and owners working his tail off. You got business folks in their office working their tail off, assistant GMs working their tail off. A lot of folks working their tail off. A manager who's on the phone right now trying to put a winning product together. I don't think when that kind of news hits, I don't think anybody really considers those folks what they're doing. So, but I'll just say that. I think there's nothing really to say, and there's there's nothing really, nothing to see here. This stuff goes on every year. These things go on every so many years. I've been around this business a long time, and no one likes things like this, but that's just part of the beast. It's like it's just like here in Hawks. Hawks has got a lease. They've got to deal with their lease like everybody else, and somebody else comes in and wants to put a whatever here, but Hawks wants to stay here. They got to go through the proper channels. I get it. It's part of life. It's part of business, part of being in a free country, society, and all that. So anyway, the unfortunate thing is when it's what you do for a living, it gets drug out in front of all to see. That sucks. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that people realize what we're up against, what we're doing, and people are like, oh, well, people like Jake going, well, don't go anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Let's see here. What else you guys got? Let me bring this down here because we are at the coffee shop here and everybody's cleared out to lunchtime. They were here for lunch. Let's check the standings real quickly here. I'm going to put a grab together, but it changes daily. And let's see here. Oh, sorry about that. Milwaukee still has a 3.5 game lead over Chicago. Now, magic numbers are getting close here for playoff spots for Milwaukee and Kansas City. I believe that Milwaukee has a 5-game magic number. I need to ask Anthony that if he knows. And I know that obviously that Kansas City got to a 4-game magic number. So that means they'll clinch a postseason spot, combination of 2 wins and 2 losses from either Sioux Falls or Sioux City, and then the winning side for Kansas City. So Kansas City, barring not showing up for the next 12 days, will make the postseason probably claim a spot as early as tomorrow, perhaps. Maybe today, how the math works. There's a half game in there, but I do believe the league didn't have this out there, but I believe, pretty sure that, let me pull this up here, but it's going to come up. I'm pretty sure that, I know Gary's eliminated because they were down 14 with 13 to play, and I believe, I'm sorry, it's Winnipeg. 14 and a half. Winnipeg's down 14 with, I believe Winnipeg's still alive until tonight. A loss tonight or a win by Kansas City would eliminate them from being in the postseason. Actually, check that. Not eliminated from postseason for the division. They'll be eliminated. They were eliminated from the division last night by my math, but Winnipeg still has 4.5 game deficit to make up with 12 to play. So they're not eliminated yet. Gary South Shore was eliminated from the division already. They are back 7 with 12 to play. So yeah, they still have a number, but it's still very, very, very high. Yes. Again, Rick's right on there. That's what you do. You in municipalities. I mean, I was watching the news the other night in Dallas when I was home for a day, and one thing that they were talking about, there was a certain similar kind of deal going on, and it was about it involves zoning, and it goes on all the time. A lot of times you don't hear about it. The reason you don't hear about it because it's maybe it's just the shopping center across the way or the park across the way. But when it's a ball club, that sort of becomes more of a news story. And hey, high school football's a couple days away. You need to talk about something. I get it, man. I get it. Bounce back game tonight, yes. Yeah, how about Mr. Zinn's home run last night? Ooh, ooh. Tell that guy's putting the work in. I see him every day about 2:00, and I'll be up in the booth, and I wave at him every day going down the cage, working early work. The guy's hard worker. Let's see here. We're so appreciative of that everyone that does everything with Explorers Big. Yes, probably I agree. And that's the thing too. My wife brought this point up to me sort of via text. That remember while the team does play here, there are people across the river in other towns that come here. And I remember that was one of the real big selling points of when I was in Burlington, Iowa, is that you had Burlington, you had the West Burlington, you had across the river over in Illinois, you had down toward Keokuk and Fort Madison. Those people would come to Burlington for entertainment, things like that. And there are people that live across the river or up the road or down the road or over in South Dakota who come here. It's what they do. So you got those people too, not just the folks that live here, but anyway. But yes, I agree with you so much on that. Beverly, I think you're right on. And again, what's so cool about what's going on here, what people are seeing now. Last night, hot. I don't think the news helped, but I don't believe that's why the crowd. Last night was not a very good crowd. It was our worst crowd since probably back in those breezy, cool May months. It was hotter than blue blazes out last night. I get it. School just started. There's a lot of negatives, but outside of that, that's not the way it's been. We were obviously last homestand outdrew the big boys on multiple occasions, and I can tell you what Tom's done. I tell you, Molly has done a phenomenal job with this whole military thing that's coming up this week, Friday. I'm sorry, military, the first responders. First responders coming up Friday. She's done a phenomenal job putting that thing together. And just overall, what the club's done with the energy they brought in, with Tom coming in. Tom's the guy that has done this a while. It's not his first rodeo, and he understands what this business is. He understands what goes on and how to make this thing fly. And there's a business model in play that all the teams, whether it be hockey, baseball, whatever, all follow. There's a certain recipe that varies a little bit by sport, but sports marketing, sports promotions at this level, and even somewhat the big league level. I mean, the big league level, you've got 100 and more than that, you get 90, 80 games, right? 82 games at home here. So you have 82 home games, and you've got to make, some of those are going to be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You got to get folks there, and they're not always going to be, you're not always going to be in first place. It's a challenge. So your business model, what you do promotions wise, and Tom has done that at multiple stops. He knows what he's doing. There's a good crew there. Austin's worked this summer. All the intern staff this summer. Anyway, could Delvin be? Let's see here. Yeah. And we're talking about back to Delvin. You know what? And what it's always a. I'll go back to this one real quick, Reggie, and then I'll get back to you, Ron. That's sort of life, right? I mean, last year was not the year that I wanted. It was an awful off season for me, but you rebound, you work, you still put your work in, you still do your due diligence. And sometimes that works out that way. And you're going to still put the work, you're still going to do what you got to do, regardless of what. And that's what I love to see about Dunn. He's always smiling. These guys love him as a teammate. He's become a valuable piece in his own right. I mean, maybe he's not playing every day, but he's a weapon that a lot of teams just don't have. I mean, you got a first-class base runner that is lurking in the wings, and also has got a little pop. I think I will tell you this: his last two opportunities, he's forged forward, and we've talked about this before. The manager makes the lineup card, but really it's the players, and he's shown that he's probably going to get a few more opportunities, and he's put the work in. And a phenomenal young man. Could Delvin be a fit for the what's the APB? Which one is the APB you're talking about? Australia or Atlantic? I'm not really sure which one you mean there. Give me which one you mean there. Ron says, I miss being at the ballpark because of my knee surgery, but I'm sure glad I've been able to watch on my computer. Hope to get back out there this weekend. Thank you. I appreciate it, Ron, and I appreciate you. Appreciate your passion and your energy. And hey, I didn't know that's where you were at. I didn't know you had knee surgery. Ooh. Prayers for you, mate. Yikes. That's one I've avoided, but it's funny because mine gave me a little trouble this week, and I did some, obviously I try to walk. I try to walk. It's been hard because there's all the things on my plate, but I try to walk on average about an hour a day on the days I work out. And boy, I had a little trouble with the knee the other day. I'm thinking, ugh, yikes. Anyway, let's see here. I'm not really sure. Cleveland's out there. Going to see Cleveland out there. As a matter of fact, on this date in history, X's history was a game against Cleveland that we're going to be talking about tonight on the pregame. The one broadcaster's dilemma that always hurts today is after last night, you're not really sure to talk to for the pregame. You didn't have a winning pitcher, you didn't have a walk-off winner. You're kind of like, I always hate trying to put together a pregame show after a gutting a loss like that. We just kind of like not really sure to talk to. So I'm just gonna I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I got plenty of time to think about it when I get there, so that's all good. But anyway, miss you guys at the ballpark too, though, Ron. All right. So I think I've said that. Ball club in statements. You can look at that. This homestand again. Yes. I'll tell you where he'd be really, really good. Really, really good. And I actually had a message this morning from a couple teams looking for players at the state league level, because what you can do is in Australia at the state league level is work as an instructor as well and get paid a really good wage during the daytime to teach baseball to young Australians in fundamentals like base running, things that don't come things that they're not, because the cricket background is it's a different type of run. It's running. But if you ever watch cricket, they run back and forth. It's almost like a wind sprint. In that cricket bat, you touch the line, you go back. You're not sliding. You're not trying to steal a base. You're not trying to get a read on a pitcher. It's a different type base running than what cricket does. And so these kids, and notoriously Australians are not really great base runners. They're better pitchers. They tend to be decent hitters, but their base running is always one of the skills that I've always lacked. And I would tell you, watching them in the Little League World Series over the years, base running is the place that they really have had trouble. And Delvin's the kind of guy go over there and can teach, grassroots, and that's a skill that you and I grew up playing the game. We kind of learn as youngsters, but they don't have that same kind of instruction. And so a lot of guys who go over there, Mike Hart of Sioux Falls is a great example. Mike Hart of Sioux Falls went over there and worked with the team and played, and also worked with the team in that organization, in that club, and made a really good wage. And how was the lumber company special? Bernard, you heard you spoke on? Yes, you guys did great. By the way, you know what? I've been waiting for you to get on, and so for about a week, I carried that tie around. Keith, by the way, you know what, Keith? Even if you're not around tomorrow or the next day, I've been saving that because Keith got me his awesome tie, and I've been waiting around because I wanted Keith to be recognized on the air. But Keith brought me this awesome tie, Gary. It's got the baseballs on it, and each pitch get like slider, curve, fastball. It's really cool. It's sort of reddish, and which would go perfect with the Explorers colors. That Keith is just a legend, does a great job there in Gary. And I think it's so cool to see your granddaughter doing that thing. And you're getting big shout outs to our broadcast, mate. I don't know about your locals, but you got to shout out big ones. Every night we were there a couple weeks ago, but love you, mate. Appreciate you. And Keith's one of those guys. There's a group of guys and gals and families throughout this league, and they should all be one, and they sort of are, but they're all one big group to me. I mean, I think of the Colemans up in Winnipeg, for example. It's a handful of gentlemen in Chicago and Gary and Fargo, and there's a lot of these fans, and they're just phenomenal. Kansas City, Snedo. These are people that they're greatness. They're such a great group. Yeah, I did chat about you, but yeah, I wish I had that tie with me today because I'd be modeling that, man. All right, what else you guys got? You guys just seem to be all fired up today. Let me hear what you got. Interesting race over there too in the East. I'm starting to worry about our friends in Cleveland. They got this big series going on currently at home, and they're back. It's a 6-game series, and they're 4 below. They really got to get rolling. They're now, granted, Milwaukee, Chicago, King County, and Lake Country are playoff teams in the East right now. Now, granted, Cleveland's won a game back, but they've had 2 long, grueling 6-game series, well, one, and then now this one back to back. And I just worry about the durability and how you survive a 6-game series like that. It's tough. I just think they're very hard. They're the only ones that play. I mean, granted, the teams they play 6-game series, but every team they play in the East is a 6-game series. Only time they don't do that is they play someone for the West. So they have that schedule built in against them plus the travel. So when they go to Gary, they play 6. When they host Gary, they play 6. And I'm just worried about that. It's a great race too, but right now that's the playoff teams. Cleveland's outside looking in, but still very much in the race. But I just wonder how that 6-game thing, and they've got them at home now. I mean, they're at home against Kane, so you win the next 5. You win 3 of the next 5. I think you're right where you need to be, and it's going to come down again. That East is going to be something else. What's going to be interesting is Sioux Falls is going to be down at Cleveland. We're going to be in Chicago. So the 2 teams in this division who are fighting out for 2nd and 3rd are going to be involved as opponents for teams in the East that are involved in the chase right now. It's very possible it's very possible that last game of that last series will be Sioux City and Chicago playing to decide, and also Sioux Falls and Cleveland. Those 4 teams, it's very possible, will be deciding the seeding 2 and 3 in both divisions at those two series. It's very possible. Again, because Cleveland's got Sioux Falls for 4, Chicago's got us for 5. And those 4 and 5, those 9 ball games are going to matter for both clubs in both divisions, all 4 clubs. Some delicious stuff coming up that weekend. Let's see here. Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate you. Yeah, I got to keep them focused. I think the interesting thing is that you saw some moves in the last couple of days that I think that everyone was sort of shocked by, because we kind of talked about how it didn't feel like that trades were going to be a big deal, but they sort of popped up a little bit. There's been a lot of Kansas City's been really active. Now, most of this is business end. It's clearing a guy off the roster for another guy. It's been a lot of that, clearing one guy out to bring in somebody else. A lot of that, but I think you did see Sioux Falls fire off a trade. And I think Gary was more than willing to fire off a trade, and I think that they're probably not done. I think that there's every reason to believe, if it's the right mix, that will happen. And I think we all kind of thought it'd be quiet on the trade front, but I think we have until Thursday evening for that to go down. So, but anyway, where are we at here? There we go. Our budget says yes. I coconut's really good. Yeah, a lot of it depends. I know that everybody has their needs right now. Your Sioux City, you're needing the Aussie salute. Sioux City, you've heard Mongo say this yesterday on the air. Maybe into the bat would be great. Any kind of depth pitching wise, you always take that. Um, and where that bat is. I mean, it's not just getting a bat; it's a bat where that bat plays. If that bat play, I don't think, for example, you're set at first base, right? You don't need another first baseman. You've got John Nogowski, who's been outstanding. Then you've got, Daniel Perez at home run last night. He's a nice piece of depth there. Where would you need help in the infield? You got a guy at third. You got a pretty solid second baseman. Where you think in your own head where you're having trouble at the plate, and I think that's where you'd probably you have to look in those kind of terms. And if you can't upgrade, you go with what you got. And like I said last night, a guy like Chase Harris is showing that he's trending upward right now, and you're getting help from within. That's a bonus. So he's really had a good week, and he looked like he was really hurting about 3 weeks ago, like he was really laboring. It was painful. But I think he's much better now. I think some time off 2 weeks ago helped. And I think that just getting a day here, day there has helped him dramatically. And he's not a guy who wants to come out, but I think it's helped him dramatically. But yeah, interesting to see the Sioux Falls making the moves, getting Aaron Whitefield. Let me pull up those moves up too, by the way, because there's Kane County made a move too. They got, let me just pull them up here. Kane County, a really weird scenario for Kane County. And it's hard to explain why this happened, but you may have saw where Pete Cosma got released and then placed in inactive. I'm sorry, got placed in inactive and released. And all because, Michael Woodworth comes available and they plug him in there. Whitefield now he's on the injured list, but I've been told he's not injured. So I don't know, I think the case is they're in Canada right now. I don't know if he made it in time to Sioux Falls to go to Canada. And that may be what that situation is. Not that he couldn't go to Canada, but he was supposed to get there on Sunday. If he didn't get there Sunday, they left at 5 a.m. on Monday. There's a very good chance he did not make it to Sioux Falls, and you got to place him somewhere for the time being. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But those moves, and Cosma, an active list, and then King County releases Cosma, and I'm under the impression he's in Kansas City. So a lot of moving parts this week. I'm interested to see the next 48 hours in the league where everything kind of winds up, because it's going to be the last push. And you get a little push, but this year you get a little more than I thought. All right, last call here. Tonight, Solomon Bates doing Solomon things. Now, Solomon right now should be in the track to have 3 more starts. He's on track with his 6 strikeouts a game to definitely pass the Craig. I was just talking about you, Craig. I just said your name a minute ago. Did you hear that? Tomorrow night, 11 or is it 12? Right? It used to be Friday night of that final non-holiday weekend. But I think because the calendar pushed back, it's tomorrow night, I believe. Pretty sure. Maybe wrong, but tomorrow night, 11 midnight. I remember I've told the story several times about literally making a trade and buying a plane ticket in a commercial. I mean, Greg Taggart making a move during the inning, texted me and saying, hey, we're going to get a plane ticket for Henry Wrigley, and we're doing that during a break, to get Wrigley there the next day to play there in Gary. This has been 2014, but it used to be a lot busier. But with the Atlantic League, it's not as much. But I think you're seeing more this year, and I think you're seeing, for a couple of reasons. I think I'm really sort of surprised a little bit we haven't seen more Winnipeg players moved, just because I think that I'm assuming Greg Taggart's back. On a while he wouldn't be. But he wants to put his plan together, and it may include more younger players like he's built before, And that might make some guys expendable. But I haven't seen it yet. So anyway, yeah, good stuff though, folks. But Solomon's run on pace to go. I mean, I've got him at 139 strikeouts is the pace. But that would, break the mark 132. Exo struck out 10 last night and still wind up losing the strikeout lead by 1. I don't know how that happened. The math, I guess, was the night before where Kansas City must have passed him, and I didn't notice it. But I noticed this morning it was a 1 strikeout difference for the first time in forever, where the X's didn't have the strikeout, but only 1 behind Kansas City. So there's that. Anyway. All right, tonight broadcast on the radio side begins. And also, because Matt Talley and company are so awesome there, our AA Baseball TV also airs when our pregame show airs. So when our pregame show goes on the radio, you're going to hear it on AA Baseball TV as well. I can't say that of everybody, but I know Fargo does it that way for us. But a lot of places just they don't do it for you. They do it for us because our crew is outstanding. What Matt's done. See, that's another thing. People don't always see that when you're doing bids. No one realizes what the people behind the scenes are doing, and he does a great job, phenomenal job. And then the radio side, of course, we all know what that involves. Our friends at KSCJ, greatness right there. Be on the air tonight. Salmon Bates going for Sioux City and across the way. And again, these are good matchups. The next 2 nights are really good matchups. Kyle Morris 7-3 and a 4.15. So. 2 guys with 9 wins, 7 wins, and solid right-handers tonight. The other thing that Mongo mentioned that I will give you a little piece of news too, he mentioned that he believed that Trenton Toplicar would be this weekend. Now, I've got him at the moment. I got TBAs going forward over the weekend on Sunday, Tuesday, but it's my understanding that you'll see Trenton slotted back in there at some point, probably this weekend, I would guess. Probably go a 3-inning stint and have the bullpen behind him is what I understand. But again, that's not been confirmed. But Mongo seemed to feel pretty confident last night on the dugout report that you'd see Trenton. And if that's going to happen, you'll have once again your full complement of your rotation back 100%. But you haven't had, say, for 2 weeks back, or 3 weeks back in May. Well, Trent wasn't even here then. So you haven't had this whole bunch together at any point, I don't believe. So there's that. Okay, last call for questions, comments. Love you guys. We will be back tomorrow either here or at the ballpark. I'll probably be here earlier. I'm out of groceries, so I can't cook this morning. I can't be cooking chicken in the morning when I'm doing game notes, which was what was going on today. Hard to do those stat breakdowns when you got the air fryer going in the background and you got to check it every once in a while. All righty. Much love to you guys. See the broadcast tonight. Tonight is a Lucky Dog Wednesday. Gatesville gets 6, and our first pitch at 7:05. Should be a warm one, but hey, we've been spoiled this summer. Summer's been great here. And so what's a couple of triple digits for a couple of days? Believe me, in about 6 months, you'll be wishing it was triple digits. It'll be about single digits. Single digits of north breeze. It won't even be a breeze, a northerly gust. That's what it'll be. And you'll be like, oh. You'll be just wishing for a heat respite. Anyway, all right, you guys ready for some 1, 2, 3 go X's? I'm ready. You're ready. We're all ready. And appreciate your support and love. Hey, come to the ballpark. Support the ball club. If you feel so inclined, reach out and say your piece. I'm all good with that too. I believe that the people will prevail. That's America right there. That's America. It's not like a politician. That's America. Well, it is debate time, right? That's America, folks. Anyway, all right. Love you guys. Some 1, 2, 3 go X's. We'll go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3 go X's. I'll see you in the broadcast. Not everybody.